Steven Speak, Extra Speak. A little more of everything and nothing. Don't forget to subscribe. Hello, welcome to Steven Speak, Extra Speak, episode 32? 32, yes. 32. Triple X, II. Today's Extra Speak is to do with the film, or more really the characters from a film. Namely the Gremlins from the film Gremlin. Is it plural? Yeah, it is, yeah, because there's multiples of them. It's not like Alien and then Aliens, it's Gremlins, because there's shit ton of them. Gremlins, 1984 film, and I was born in 1983, so I didn't ever see that at the cinema. But back in the day, anyone that is as old as me or sort of maybe a couple of years younger or older will recall that when films came out in the cinema, it wasn't like now. Like some films now come out on digital media at the same time as at the cinema, which is bizarre to me. But yes, back in the day, you'd have a film at the cinema, and it would sometimes take like a year to get to VHS. That's a video cassette, for anyone that doesn't know. So it was like an experience. Then, even if you'd seen it at the cinema, it was like a year before it's like since you'd watched it. So it was a film you really, really liked. Like it was kind of like rewatching it again at home. Not as good as the cinema, because the cinema's ace. Like, you know, the whole experience of watching a film at the cinema. But yeah, it was kind of like an experience. But obviously, Gremlins was out in 1984, so I was like a year old-ish when it came out. Maybe a bit younger than that. So by the time we got into VHS or even on telly, like it used to take like 3-4 years for things to come on premiere on TV. Because they used to like get the sales up on the old VHS. So it could be 2, 3, 4 years before it goes on telly. So like I was like a toddler, but my brother's like 5 years older than me, so he would experience things before me and got into things before me and liked things that were older than my age was probably allowed to see. So he didn't mind Gremlins. He was like, you know, he was like 6 when it came out. I don't think he saw it at the cinema, but he was probably like 8 when he could watch it at home. And he probably realised, you know, these Gremlins, even though they were a little bit scary looking, they weren't like, I don't know, it's because it's kind of like a black comedy, really, isn't it? It's like a comedy horror, but it's not really that horrifying. And you don't really care if the Gremlins are having terrible stuff happen to them because they're little shits, basically. But me being quite young, the Gremlins are quite scary looking to a child. And for some reason, I was absolutely terrified of Gremlins. My brother had a couple of like plastic toys of Stripe, which was like the main Gremlin, like the main leader Gremlin from the first film. And I didn't mind Gizmo. Gizmo was cute, and he had a couple of gizmos. But he had Stripe. He had a Stripe as a Mogwai Stripe. Like the Mogwais were like the fluffy version of them. Let me explain the life cycle of a Gremlin. So basically, you get a Mogwai. I don't know where Mogwais come from, actually. Other Mogwais, I think they like... Yes, they come from other Mogwais, don't they? Because you see it in the second one. So a Mogwai is like the first iteration of a Gremlin, and they're little fluffy things. And if you get a Mogwai wet, they multiply, so lots of balls. You see in the first film, actually, lots of balls come out of, like little fluffy balls come out of the little Mogwai, and they're other little Mogwais. But then if you let them eat after midnight, I think it is, then they... I don't know where the cut-off point, because it's always technically after midnight. I'm guessing just at night time. They gorge themselves, and then they cocoon themselves and turn into like the scary Gremlins. It's a weird thing. Anyway, wasn't bothered about Mogwais. Like even the evil ones were cute-ish. They just did naughty things. Gizmo, fantastic. What a cute little character he is. Singing his little song. But yeah, Stripe and the other, when they turn into like the evil, scaly, greasy-looking, mean Gremlins, I was really petrified. Now, I remember, and it was on one year on TV. It may have been like cut, because you had films that were cut for TV, to be fair, but it was on like early evening, and my mum and my brother were going to settle down to watch it, and I deliberately went outside and played, but I was riding my bike around the patio, and every time I passed the patio door, I was trying to see the TV, because I was like, because it was daylight still, I kind of wasn't bothered if I saw it, but every time I caught a glimpse of one, I was absolutely petrified and just like cycled around really quick. And it's really weird how you remember these things, but I remember just cycling around in circles, and every time I came past, sometimes I'd sneak an eye. Yeah, but I was petrified. And these toys that my brother had, he used to torture me with them a little bit. And I didn't mind playing with Gizmo. Sometimes he'd lend me Gizmo, and I used to, like, put Gizmo into the things that I used to play with. Like, he'd be like a character in my games, but did not like the Gremlin version of Stripe. Didn't actually really like the Mogwai version of Stripe, actually, because he had really evil look on his face. But one of the things I never forget is I can't remember how old I was. Probably like 4 or 5, maybe. Because it took me I was probably like 10 when I wasn't really scared of them, to be honest. Yeah, but he put Stripe on my bed one night. So I was kind of like scared that Stripe was living under my bed, because my brother told me he kind of was, and that's where Gremlins lived. Wasn't never scared of monsters under the bed, nothing like that. My under the bed was filled with toys, so I was like, yeah, it's toys under there. What bad things can live amongst toys? Nothing. And then when he told me Stripe lived under there, I was just like, actually, they're not that big. And he, for some reason, I kind of imagined him the size of the toy, or maybe a bit bigger, not the ones that were in the film. And yeah, he bloody put the thing in bed with me one night. Like, so when I woke up, it was on the pillow, and I like absolutely crapped myself. I woke up and realized what it was, but the thing just creeped me out. I was just like, I was so annoyed at him. But yeah, something changed in my brain. Obviously, like, matured a little bit, but I don't know what it was that made me change my mind. But I remember Gremlins 2, which came out in 1990, I think. About 1990, 91. I think it was 1990. I'm pretty sure it was. And it was on TV. I remember being on Channel 4. Don't know why. And it was on quite late at night. And I remember being about 10 or 11, maybe a bit older. And my dad basically said we could stay up because it was a weekend and stuff. And it started at it probably started like 10:30 at night, 10:45 at night. And I sat up and watched it. And I was not bothered about it at all. In fact, Gremlins 2 is quite I don't think it's as scary as the first one, because it's very much a Mickey take of, like, the Gremlins are, like, more ridiculous, and there's different versions of the Gremlins and such things. So it's kind of like an even more comedy version of the first one, because the first one is kind of like semi-serious in places. Yeah, but that's me being scared of Gremlins. It's really weird, and you know what? It's one of my favorite films actually now. Like, looking back, when I saw the second one, because I still not seen the first one. I saw the second one before I'd seen the first one. So when I'd seen the second one and realised I wasn't scared, I went back and watched the first one whenever it was on TV. And I think it kind of gave me that chills, because I remembered how scared I used to be, but it wasn't scary to me anymore. So conquered that fear. But yeah, I think they were probably one of the creatures in any film that I was like the scared of the most. I think it's because they're so manic and they kind of have no fear. And yeah, I think it's just something weird about like a creature that's like comedic, but then also is a little bit evil. I don't know, it terrified me. But yeah, there's me being scared of Gremlins, and that's what this week's Extra Speak's been about. Obviously, because you've friggin' listened to it. But they're making a new Gremlins film actually next year. I believe it's coming out next year. I've not looked into it for a while actually, but I'm looking forward to it. I thought I'd got through a whole episode not hitting anything in the room, but apparently not. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be about. I think at first they were on about it was going to be a sequel. Then they were on about it was going to be a prequel. Well, they were on about, I heard it was going to be a sequel. Then I heard it was going to be a remake of the first one. Then I heard it was going to be a prequel. So I might Google it afterwards, because I know it's got a release date for next year. I'm sure I saw saying it was going to be released next year. So yeah, I might have a quick Google of that once I've finished recording. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Just to remind you, you may have seen on social media that this weekend coming up, but the 4th of December is the start of the new series 2 of Steven Speak. Steven Speak Xtra will be revamped as well that week, so the next week Steven Speak will be all new logo, new theme, etc. Check out the social media at Steven Speak PC, and my website. I'm hoping to get my website all updated this week as well, ready for the launch. I'm hoping everything will be ready. Very busy at work at the moment, so I've set the 4th, because if I didn't set a date, I was like, never going to get to it. So I've set the 4th. That's what it's going to be. And forgive me, I'll get around to everything when I can. Gonna contact some guests soon, get them recorded, and you'll be hearing some other people's voices on this podcast finally. So thank you very much for listening. Subscribe and take care of yourselves, and I will speak to you all soon. You've been listening to Stephen Speak, Extra Speak. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe.